Hi guys, and welcome to Odds Premier League. We have a few games in this midweek, including Liverpool-Chelsea, so we are going to analyze every single game with Tom Rennie, but I also want to know your opinion, so let me know what you think about this game or any other in the comment section, and you will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get all the notifications. And now let's listen to all the tips. So we have more games in this middle of the week in the Premier League, and let's analyze everything with Tom Rennie. Hello, Tom.
Hello, we do have more games. We always have more games. There's death, there's taxes, and there's Premier League football. That's it.
Exactly. If there is no European football, we have Premier League for sure. And the first one is actually this evening. We have Man City Wolverhampton with, Man City wrapping up the title, going for the records. Now it's 27 games unbeaten in all competitions, 24 victories and 3 draws. The last victory against West Ham, they suffer a little bit because they are not winning comfortably actually in the last games, but they are winning. This is what it matters. And they host Wolverhampton, that they are improving a little bit in the last weeks. They drew against Newcastle, they beat Leeds, Southampton. They have absolutely nothing to play for in these last weeks of competition. So Tom, seeing the odds 1.24, you see like Man City thrashing Wolves or going for lowest scoring game, for instance?
Yeah, the trouble is that all the value in Man City with their incredible run, 27 unbeaten, as you mentioned, 20 straight wins in a row, incredible run they've been on. The value is they're going to thrash somebody. The reality is they're not really thrashing anybody. I think West Ham were great at the weekend. They played really, really well. They contained Manchester City. They created chances. Could have got something. It's maybe the best performance by anybody against Man City for this 20-game run, and they still lost. Man City were able to make, 7 changes from the team that played in midweek to the weekend. They didn't even need to play Raheem Sterling against West Ham and still won. So I'd expect them to win against Wolverhampton Wanderers as well. Unfortunately, despite there being only value in the thrashing, I don't see the thrashing. I would suggest that a win to 0 is what we're going to get. I'd be looking at any time, first time, last goal scorers for some value and trying to do some sort of combo. With Raheem Sterling dropped against West Ham, I'd expect him to come back against Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's very much the vice-captain of the side these days, captained them in the Champions League recently. So I'd be looking at City to win, Raheem Sterling to score, or City to win to 0, 1-0, 2-0, no more than that. For Wolverhampton Wanderers, they defend quite well, but who's going to score a goal? Again, it's over and over again. Ruben Neves scored a header the other day against Newcastle, which nearly made the sky fall in. No one saw that coming. The guy up front they've got, Fabio Silva, looks like the work experience kid, God bless him. I wouldn't play him in a game like this. I think the Wolves will try desperately to keep the score down, and I think they'll achieve that minimum goal.
Okay, Man City to win 2-0, business as usual. Actually, we saw also strange scorers for Man City in the previous game, Ruben Dias and John Stones. Next one on Wednesday, we have Burnley Leicester with the odds giving us quite decent, I would say. Odds for their Leicester victory 2.1, although the Foxes lost against Arsenal, taking the lead with the goal scored by Tielemans, but Arsenal came back and is 2 defeats in a row before they were kicked out also of the Europa League by Slavia Praga. So Turf Moor usually is a tough stadium actually, but should be a good place to bounce back for the Foxes if they want to keep this distance with the 5th. Now is 5 points actually.
Yeah, I mean, if we start with Burnley here, they were thrashed by Tottenham Hotspur at the weekend. Their annual thrashing in North London against Tottenham. I think I said on last week's programme, it'll either be 0-0 or 4-0. Those are your options. And 4-0 at finish, because the moment Gareth Bale scored in, 30-40 seconds, the game was over. Their heads dropped, and there's no way Burnley are going to score more than 2 goals in a game of football. They seldom do, and I don't think they'll do it again here. They will go ultra, super, mega defensive, Burnley. They'll be looking to recover from the thrashing they took. And also in their minds, they're taking on a side in Leicester who have been fantastic this season. The trouble with Leicester is who's going to play. They lost Harvey Barnes against Arsenal. Ayose Perez, Dennis Pratt, James Maddison, Wesley Fofana, James Justin, Johnny Evans, Wes Morgan. They're all out of this one. And Jamie Vardy, he's got so many injuries right now. I read a quote about Jamie Vardy, about his injuries, and it was, he's got trouble right now with his calf, with his shin, with his heel, with his groin, and his hip. And you're thinking, why has he got so many problems? Because he's the same age as me. He's 35. I've got problems with my calf, my shield, my heel, my hip. Everything hurts. Everything. Because of the age we are. It's painful. So for him to keep playing week in, week out as their only top striker, of course he's always injured. I think Burnley will go defensive. I think Leicester have got a lot of problems. I'd be looking for all of the underscores here. Under 1.5. My personal tip is goalless draw. That's what I fancy for this one. I'd maybe put some money on it. I certainly wouldn't watch it.
All right, but you look better than Jamie Vardy, eh? You look fitter for sure.
You flirt, eh? Let's pick this up after the call, eh?
Than him, I don't know playing football though. Next one on Wednesday, Sheffield United, Aston Villa. Sheffield United already in the championship. Basically, they are beating all the worst records in the competition. Lost again against Liverpool, but they have their chances actually in that game. But their problem is that they don't score a single goal. Fourth straight defeat for them. Only one goal scored in these 4 games. And now Aston Villa is their rivals. And actually Aston Villa, they are 9th in the table, but they are only 5 points away from European position. So if they grab a victory here, maybe they can still dream to reach Europe, although it's almost impossible, I would say.
Well, they need to go on an incredible run to do it. And it's the same story with Arsenal, with Tottenham, with a few of those teams now that are just a bit off it. To make it, they're going to need to go on a run of winning 4, 5, 6 games in a row. They do that, they get up amongst Liverpool, Chelsea, West Ham, Leicester, that group of teams that look like they're going to be fighting it out at the moment, but there's still enough games to go to do it. With Sheffield United, you know, there's not too much to say on them. We've not said already. They lost Basham, they lost O'Connell, they've lost Egan. That's their best defensive trio. Against Liverpool, they had Ethan Ampadu, not a centre-half, Phil Jagielka, older than Jamie Vardy and me, which is super old, and Kean Bryan, who scored an own goal. So it's not a great selection of players. And they got through against Liverpool a couple of times. That's because Liverpool had Nat Phillips and Ozan Kabak at centre-half, which is a League One level pairing. And that's why McBurney got through, and he still couldn't get a shot against Adrian, who himself is a League One level goalkeeper. So if you can't score against that back line, you ain't going to score against nobody. Villa, one of the best defences in the league this season, away from home. I think it's 8 clean sheets they've kept on the road this season. So I would absolutely be having Aston Villa to win this to 0. Grealish, a massive doubt again, but they don't need Grealish right now. They won a game for the first time in 60-plus games without Grealish last time out against Leeds. They did it because of Anwar El Ghazi, streaky bacon player. He's the kind of guy that when he scores 1, he'll score 2, 3, 4, 5, and he'll disappear again for 4 months. He scored against Leeds. I'd be looking at Villa to win. I'd be doubling that up with an El Ghazi score, and I'd be absolutely looking at win to 0. And if there's some value in the plus 2.5, even plus 3.5 market, I'd be looking at that as well.
Even the victory for Aston Villa, the odds are quite all right, 2.13. So this is a good bet, or for instance, to add to the ACCA. To add, if you think that the Aston Villa is going to win easily against Sheffield United. Also, Man United should beat Crystal Palace because, Crystal Palace, they picked up 4 points in their last 2 Premier League games, but they were so lucky. Actually, they only attempted 6 shots, whereas the other teams, the opponents, attempted 41. So imagine how lucky or how accurate they were. And United, another boring draw against a top team, and they are not beating any top team in this season, but they more or less they do their job when they are playing against weaker teams.
Yeah, they've been very good flat track bullies, Man United, this season. You know, it's something we used to say of Arsenal quite a lot. Beat the teams below them and can't beat the big teams. It's where Man United are. I think, again, against Chelsea, they showed a real lack of ambition to win the game. I think they went there to get a draw, and they got the draw their performance deserved. You know, it was a very compact defensive display. They tried to hit Chelsea on the break, but Chelsea themselves are quite a defensive team these days. So we said last week it wasn't going to be a great game. It wasn't a great game, though I was hoping for more, as we all were. Look, I think with Crystal Palace, the way they beat Brighton last Monday, when they had 3 shots compared to Brighton's 23, and they scored at the end of both halves, was a fascinating game. It was the biggest smash and grab I've ever seen. I worked on the game, and we were just staggered they won it. Never as a team deserved to lose more than that Crystal Palace side that somehow not only got something, but won against Brighton. Similar story against Fulham as well. They had, 16, 17 attempts at goal. And Crystal Palace, they don't create without Wilfried Zaha. They don't try and create. And Roy Hodgson said afterwards, their manager, and bearing in mind it was at home against a team in the bottom 3, he said 0-0 was the best we could have hoped for. That is not a great thing to say as manager of a team facing a side who are facing relegation. Look, Palace aren't going to score against Manchester United. They won't create a chance against Manchester United. They will sit very, very deep and try to stop Manchester United. It's the worst thing that could happen to Man U, really, because they can't deal with that low block, that deep defence that teams play. And Palace are actually pretty good at it. Organisationally, they're very, very good at the back. I'd be looking for a Man United win here, but narrow. Below 1.5, maybe 1-0, 2-0 absolute best. Win 2-0 is what I'd be looking at, but this is an under. All the unders. Look at all the unders for this one if you're looking for any value. And it's very tough to pick a United goal scorer. Of course, you want to say Bruno Fernandes because everything runs through Bruno Fernandes. But who plays up front? Absolutely no idea. What's the rest of the front 4 going to be? Absolutely no idea. Is it going to be Martial? Is it going to be Cavani? They're tough to put money on right now, Manchester United, but I will go, in all scenarios, Man U win this.
All right, another boring game, low-scoring game in your opinion in Selhurst Park. A good one, or I expect that is an interesting one at least, on Thursday, Craven Cottage, London Derby, Fulham, Tottenham, although they are in the opposite areas of the city. Fulham, you said it before, bottom 3. They drew against Crystal Palace after beating Sheffield United in the last 5 games. Only 1 goal conceded, 5 undefeated games. There is still some hope in southwest London, but they need to get something against the Spurs, who thrashed Burnley. And Gareth Bale finally is back. We are in March. He arrived to London in August. And now finally Gareth Bale is back. He's been directly involved in 7 goals in the last 4 appearances for Tottenham. I'm glad that he's doing finally well after leaving Madrid. Really criticized Zidane for letting him go. So here, what do you expect? Tottenham again disappointing us, which is happening very often this season.
Yeah. Well, the expectations off Tottenham now. When you expect of Tottenham, they don't deliver. When you don't expect, they tend to deliver. I would caveat those Gareth Bale performances in that it was against Wolfsberger of Austria, who literally nobody had ever heard of outside of Austria maybe 6 weeks ago. And against Burnley, who just get thrashed in North London. Don't know why it happens. It's one of those bizarre phenomena that just keeps on happening. Look, I think if you look at these 2 teams in the form table, you look at who's playing better football, it's all Fulham. It is all Fulham. They're a very, very good side right now. I think they've hit on a side. They've hit on a way of playing. They've got a few players in really good form. All their midfielders look like they're in great shape as well. Harrison Reed, Sambo Anguissa, Ademola Lookman. Good players. The issue is converting their utter dominance of football matches into 3 points. It hasn't happened enough, but as Scott Parker said after the Crystal Palace game, a point in the Premier League is better than none, and they are looking at a free-falling Newcastle with all the players out injured and a Brighton side that can't beat Crystal Palace when they have like 98% of every stat in the game. They still can't even get a point from it. So Fulham, I still think they'll stay up in the Premier League. The question is who is going to score for them. Josh Maja should have scored maybe 3 against Crystal Palace at the weekend. If they are to score, Josh Maja up front is the person I'd be looking at because every chance is going to fall to him. I hope they don't bring Mitrovic back in because they look a better side without him. It all depends on the first goal here. First goal crucial. First goal wins. I'd absolutely be looking at both teams to score. and I'd be looking at 2-1 either way. 2-1 Fulham would be my tip. If I'm looking for a goal scorer, it would be Josh Maja. And Gareth Bale, I'm not getting excited about Gareth Bale. And I appreciate people want to get excited about Gareth Bale. I wouldn't be surprised if he was dropped for this one, to be honest. And they went to Kane, Son, Mora, Kane, Son, Bergwijn, if Bergwijn is fit and available, and Gareth Bale goes back to the bench. Bale was a goal scorer in this one. Not for me.
I was thrilled actually reading how people are excited about Gareth Bale in February after everything that Bale should have done by now in the Premier League. Also here, if you fancy Fulham, actually the double chance for them is 1.98 victory, home victory or a draw. I think is also a good bet because Tottenham is really favorite and we don't like these odds. The next game on Thursday, West Brom, Everton. West Brom, they were able to win in the last game. They beat Brighton after drawing with Burnley, and Man United is 9 points away from Newcastle. Probably is too late, but if they want to keep the hope, at least they have to get something against Everton, who were able to beat Southampton with Richarlison scoring again in 3 games in a row for him. And actually Everton record of points, 43 points at this stage of the season. Odds 1.88 for Everton. What do you think here?
Everton win this 100%. I see no scenario West Brom win it. You mentioned Richarlison, 3-3, looks in fantastic form, really, really sharp. Back up front with Calvert-Lewin as well, played as pretty much a pair against Southampton on Monday Night Football, and it worked really, really well. Should have scored more than they did. But Southampton good defensively, goalkeeper played all right. They just about got away with it. But I think with West Bromwich Albion, the game against Brighton, any other week, any other time, they'd lose that 4-5-1. They were dominated by Brighton. And of course, there's the whole controversy with Lee Mason, the goal that was, then wasn't, then was, then wasn't, then was, then wasn't again. The 2 penalties Brighton missed. West Brom were very poor on the day. They scored from a corner from Bartley. I'd absolutely be looking at the can score from a corner market because that is all West Brom are going to score from if they ever are to score a goal. I'll be laying that every week. West Brom to score from a corner. I'll be doing it every week until Allardyce resigns at the end of this season with them in the Championship. But Everton here, they're a good side. They hate Allardyce, the fan base. Some of the players that were there when Sam was in charge, no one likes him. And they'll be desperate to crush Big Sam in this game. And I think they will. They're better away than they are at home. But as you mentioned, they won at home on Monday Night Football. I'd be looking for Everton 3, even 4 in this game. Though West Brom will defend well. Big Everton win, plus 2.5, maybe plus 3.5. And I'd absolutely be looking at Richarlison first or anytime goal scorer as well.
Okay, see victory for Everton here going into the Champions League positions, and Everton will fight probably, or let's see if it's until the end of the competition, with Liverpool and Chelsea. Great battle for the Champions League spots at Anfield. The head-to-head recently in the Premier League is for Liverpool, actually 4 victories in a row, including this season, 0-2 at Stamford Bridge, but that was another Chelsea and that was another Liverpool for sure. Chelsea, you said it, they are very defensive. With Tuchel, they drew against Man U, but they are getting the results. The last 6 Premier League games, 4 victories, 2 draws. Whereas Liverpool, they still have a lot of doubts. They beat Sheffield after 4 defeats in a row in the Premier League, but they are not convincing at all. So Liverpool is favorite, but probably Chelsea can get something here.
Oh, tough. This is a real tough one to round up today because there are deficiencies on both sides. I think with Liverpool, they cannot play Ozan Kabak and Nat Phillips together in this game. They just can't do it. They might have to, but it would be, it's an awful defensive pairing. And we don't know about Alisson as well. He won't be rushed back, of course, after his personal issues. So it could be Adrian, Phillips and Kabak against Chelsea, which is disaster in the making, if you ask me. They also don't ever change the way they play Liverpool. It's square pegs and round holes, or worse players in the same old holes over and over again. They haven't gone 3 at the back. They've not tried 6 at the back. They've not tried to take one of the strikers away and fill out the midfield in big games. They do the Klopp thing, and if the players aren't good enough, then so be it. We can question the wisdom of that. I certainly do, but Klopp is who he is, and he does what he does. With Chelsea, they are very defensive, and I think Thomas Tuchel might well be the perfect manager for them. Why? Because the points matter, the performances don't. He knows that better than anybody. He doesn't care how they play. It was his big issue in his previous job. But we've got to entertain here. Why haven't we won 7-0? Abramovich don't care about that. He cares about how many trophies and how many games they can win and getting them into the Champions League, which I'd absolutely tip them to do. The issue in this game is that we just don't know who plays at the back for Liverpool. If we had Fabinho back, and I can't say he's going to be back as we record the programme, I'd be looking at Liverpool getting something from it. I'm really surprised Liverpool are favourites. I'm really surprised. They have got the front three, sure, but the front three are misfiring. Firmino don't shoot. Mane's not scoring. Salah looks knackered. How are they going to score 3, 4, 5 goals with that three misfiring? Some talk Jota might come back, not before time. If he is fit, I would start him here and take Mane or Firmino out of the side immediately for 2, 3, 4 weeks out before resuming for the Champions League. In a fortnight's time, I think that second leg is. So I'll be waiting on them for that one. In this, I'm looking at draw. I'm looking at both teams to score. I'd be looking at 1-1, maybe even 2-2. I don't think we get the 5-3 that you mentioned last season, which was brilliant. But that also goes to Chelsea not being as adventurous as they were back then. And in that game, that was when we thought Christian Pulisic was going to be a star in the Premier League. It was great till he, you guessed it, went off injured in that game. So again, Big Six clash. Don't see a classic. I'd be looking at draw. Both teams score.
All right. So you expect goals here. The over 2.5 goals is 1.84 and the under is 2.13. Right now, Notpedia.com. So actually, the bookies don't expect a lot of goals at Anfield. These are the games that we have. 7 games in this midweek. We have all 10 games in the weekend as usual. So with 7 games, Tom, I'm sure we can do an ACCA.
Yes, I'm going to put all my 2-0s together. All my 2-0s, which is 3 away wins and 1 home win. So I'll take Everton to win at West Bromwich Albion, Manchester United to win at Crystal Palace, Aston Villa to win at Sheffield United, and just for fun, basically for no value, but it sounds better when you do 4 and not 3, I'll put City and Wolves in there as well. So all 4 to win, and they're all my 2-0s as well.
All right. Hopefully we can make some money in this start of March. On the weekend, we have more games, Tom. We will analyze everything with you. Thank you very much.
Can't wait. See you then.
See you. Tom expects a draw in that battle at Anfield against Liverpool and Chelsea, but I also want to know your opinion, so let me know what you think in the comment section and you will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. Also remember, if you enjoyed the video, click on the like button, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get all the notifications. Also, you can listen to all our videos in our podcast, and this week we are back. We have more Premier League in the weekend.